everyone, Tony D, and I've done so many takes of this. I hope this is the one that works. I keep going too long. All right, I'm going to try not to ramble. Quick, YouTube, censoring, doing something screwy again. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the bell for notifications. And above all, make sure you follow me on BitChute. The link's in the description. Go to BitChute, make an account, and follow me there, because YouTube is probably going to purge any political related channels leading up to the election, especially people who have opinions they don't like. And that's my opinion, but it seems to be true. So speaking of opinions, let me try to get into this and finish my thought without rambling on for 40 minutes like I've done now 3 times. RBG is being replaced. And there's nothing that Dems can do to stop it. I was just reading a Wall Street Journal op-ed with that very same headline. Pelosi's empty quiver, he was the op-ed. And it's true, because Pelosi and the Democrats are like a blackmailer who's threatened their quarry too many times and up the ante, right? So if you're being blackmailed by somebody and pay him some money, and the blackmailer just keeps adding more money. No, you got to pay me more. You got to pay me more. You got to do this. You got to pay me more. You know, eventually the person being blackmailed says, you know what? This is too much. You might as well just expose my secret to the world. I'm done. I'm going to go tell my wife I'm cheating on her, and then you'll have no power over me. That's kind of what's happened with Nancy Pelosi. You know, she keeps making these big pronouncements, and Trump calls her bluff every time. I think part of the reason has to do with her ego. She has a massive ego, in my view. I think she was in a meeting with Trump way back, I want to say like 2018. She stormed out of it and was a news story. It was supposed to be important, but it just felt like Nancy Pelosi was just being a spoiled brat and not doing her job. And I don't think the relationship between Pelosi and Trump recovered after that. I think from that point onward, she was like, F this guy, I'm going to get him. And Trump gets the better of her every single time. She's not, she can't figure out a way to help Trump or help, be positive and make some sort of progress on that. And things are so bad for the Democrats, they're losing the union vote. I just read an article about it. The union rank and file are all for Trump, and the union leaders are for the Dems, and they're trying to convince their rank and file, oh, come on, guys. Don't you want to vote for those Democrats who have always supported us? Yeah, they haven't really supported you. They're shipping your jobs overseas, and they've killed business everywhere. So really, are they helping union guys? I think they're hurting them. They used to help union guys. They used to be all about the unions and jobs. Now, Joe Biden, the millionaire, he's not the same Joe Biden that, it was mostly image, but, he was working class Joe. That just doesn't resonate anymore. When you're getting your son a job for, tens of thousands of dollars in the Ukraine, when he doesn't speak the language and he doesn't really know the business, you're not really a normal, everyday guy. You're a millionaire trying to pull strings for your son. And I get that. But, trying to pass yourself off as that normal guy, it just doesn't resonate. Trump understands the optics. He's not a normal guy, but he understands what McDonald's means to people. He understands normal people better than Biden does. Biden might have been normal at one point, but he's certainly not now. He should have retired. There was literally any other candidate would have been better than Biden at this point. He's having a senior moment every other day, and RBG is not even going to be an issue. They're going to pick a replacement. They have the votes. Romney, yeah, he's a rhino, a Republican in name only, but he's also a Mormon. He's a fairly religious guy. He wants to see SCOTUS go a little more conservative. And that's all it's going to do. It's going to go a little more conservative. And it's going to be more conservative than liberal now, which isn't a disaster. It's not. Just because you have a conservative group of people doesn't mean they don't have common sense. They're not going to make abortion illegal. They're not. They may revisit Roe v. Wade because Ultimately, it's not a very good decision, and really the legislature should take up and debate the issue and make a federal law, if you're going to have a law about it at all, and come to a compromise that we could all live with. Um, I've always been pro-choice, but there are limits, and the Democrats refuse to set those limits. So they have terrible laws that say you can get rid of a baby, even if even if the mother's about to go into labor. Oh, I've changed my mind. No, that's too late. And most people agree with that. Most people don't want to see abortion used as birth control. That's too much. So there's got to be a limit. There's got to be some sort of happy medium that won't make anybody happy, but that we could all go, well, yeah, okay. And SCOTUS will do that. It's time to swing the pendulum back a little more the other way. We've got too many commies running around and people screaming, you can't wave an American flag. Yes, you can. This is America. It's perfectly fine. Back in the day, there were arguments like, well, you should be able to burn an American flag, and you probably should, but you shouldn't be able to burn the American flag belonging to somebody else. That's their property, and you certainly shouldn't be able to attack that person or burn their house down or anything like that. That's what's happening in this country, and it's wrong. And SCOTUS, they're not going to cure that, but they're going to steer the ship slightly back more to the right so we don't go off a waterfall far left. And that's fine. It's not gonna make major changes in your life. It's not gonna take us back to the 1950s socially. You can't go backwards like that. There's too much information. There's too much technology in terms of what you can do. All it's going to do, it's going to take some of the excesses, the legal excesses of the progressive movement, and it's finally going to address them and say, no, this is too much. You have to have a little more whatever. We have to streamline this somewhat. We have to allow people to defend themselves in their homes. You can't make laws that are weird and contradictory towards the Constitution. That's it. So it's not doomsday, Democrats, and you shouldn't pretend that it is. And that's what the Democrats like Pelosi are doing, because they know we want to gin up the base, so they vote for Biden because we'll get our pick. It's not going to happen. First off, you're not going to get the pick. They have the votes. And second, the Republicans are going to control the Senate anyway. Even if by some miracle Biden wins, the Republicans will control the Senate. I predict they control the Senate and probably the House. If the Democrats manage to hang on to the House, it'll be by a very tiny margin. It'll be because of sheer luck, and a couple of hardcore blue places still won't flip. But I think you're going to see a huge turnover here. All the signs point to that. Forget about the polls. The polls are wrong. Okay, the polls are just flat out wrong. They were wrong in 2016. They're even more wrong now. And the reason that they're wrong is because most of them are in the bag for the Democrats too. If they're not in the bag for them, they're certainly left-leaning people who really want the Democrats to win, even though they can't say that. So, you got to get out there and vote. And I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I would urge you not to vote for Democrats. You're not doing any favors of these people by enabling their bad behavior. And they have shown us bad behavior for 4 solid years. They deserve a trouncing at the polls. They deserve to get literally wiped out in every election this coming election. If that happened, I would be very, very happy. And hopefully the Democrats would go, oh my God, we have to change. And they would return to the middle and sanity. It may even just spell doom and gloom for them. That you may see people abandon the party in droves, and then you'll have what's left will be, a little tiny socialist of America sort of Democratic Party. And then you'll probably get the Republican Party get so huge that eventually they'll split at some point down the road. But that's down the road. I mean, not in the era of Trump. Trump is in for another 4 years, in my view. And he's delivered. And this is one of the things he's delivered on, appointing judges. Man, the GOP loves that. It's no surprise Mitt Romney's going to vote for this. He loves it. He doesn't really care about the president. A lot of the people in the GOP don't care about who's president. But this is something they care about because they know about the long-term impact that SCOTUS has. And this is something that it'll make their jobs easier, to a large degree. They can count on the court to at least throw them a bone more times than not. Before it was like, well, if we go to SCOTUS, we'll get our heads kicked in. We got to avoid that. Now it'll be like, ooh, let's go to SCOTUS, let's get a ruling, and then that'll help us. But people on the left side of politics, you have bigger problems than this, okay? You have bigger long-term problems with your party and the direction you're going in. You can't win this fight. You screwed the pooch. Harry Reid changed the rule in 2013. Otherwise, you'd be looking at 60 votes and you'd be sitting pretty because you could say to the Republicans, you want to pick, you got to deal with us. You got to pick our person. You want to get this pick before Trump leaves office? Well, you can come to us. It'd be a different dynamic. You'd have some leverage. But you gave that away for short-term gain back in 2013. So it's time to think more long-term. Now you got to think more long-term in your party. You're going to lose this election. So you got to think down the road. If you're going to lose this election, well, you might as well get credit for going along with some of Trump's plans that you do agree with. And let's be honest, you agree with some of his stuff. You're just being obstinate because you don't want to give him any credit. They say if Trump came out for oxygen, all the Democrats would suffocate. You can finally just breathe and say, you know what? Trump's right on this. You know what? Trump is right on Korea and the UAE and these. Hey, it's a good job he did. Like, you should be saying those things so people see you as credible people who acknowledge reality, as opposed to maniacs who spend all day on MSNBC going, well, it's mostly a peaceful protest, isn't it? I mean, once in a while you have a fire, but, people should be out in the streets protesting because, reasons. Anyhow, I don't want to go into it further than that. I finally got a video that's of normal length. And I'll see you next time.